Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to explore the fascinating romance fantasy Manhwa. Daisy, how to become the Duke's fiancé. Imagine waking up one day and discovering that your father's gambling debts have destroyed your family's future. That's exactly what happens to Daisy, a kind and timid young noblewoman whose life changes forever when a powerful nobleman named Killian comes to collect a massive debt. Will this encounter ruin her life or become the beginning of a new destiny? Let's jump right into Episode 1. Episode 1 begins with Daisy Filburn, the youngest daughter of the Filburn family. While she is lost in her thoughts, her sister Jasmine suddenly calls her and tells her that a guest has arrived. At first, Jasmine assumes the visitor is just another debt collector, because their father is constantly borrowing money. Their older sister Rose quickly reminds them to act properly in front of guests. However, when the visitor is finally revealed, everyone is shocked. The guest is Marquess Killian de Essel, a powerful nobleman and the owner of a famous casino. Killian wastes no time explaining why he came. He exposes Lord Filburn's latest crime, entering his casino with a fake identity and accumulating an enormous debt of 10,000 gold coins. The sisters are horrified. There is no way their family can repay such a massive amount. When their father begs for mercy, Killian refuses. Instead, he announces that he will take one of the daughters as collateral until the debt is settled. Rose and Jasmine immediately protest, but their father selfishly offers Rose without hesitation. Daisy secretly believes she is too insignificant to be chosen, but to everyone's surprise, Killian points directly at Daisy. Terrified and confused, Daisy becomes the chosen collateral. That same night, Killian's men strip the Filburn estate of nearly everything they own. The family loses their wealth, their home, and their status. Before leaving, Killian sends money to the sisters, saying they should not suffer for their father's mistakes. It seems like a final act of kindness and gives them hope for the future. However, the next morning, disaster strikes again. The money is gone. As Daisy searches frantically, she realizes the heartbreaking truth. Their father stole every coin and disappeared. With no home, no money, and no father, Daisy's future looks darker than ever. After being abandoned by her beautiful older sister Rose, Daisy is left to take care of her younger sister Jasmine on her own. Determined to survive, she finds work as a seamstress at a small boutique. There she meets Alan de Sorin, the owner of the shop. Unlike everyone else, Alan treats Daisy kindly and even gives her a chance despite her lack of experience. Over time, Daisy begins to admire him. One day, Alan notices Daisy working hard and gently takes her hand. Seeing the scars caused by years of labor, he expresses concern for her and invites her to dinner. For Daisy, who has spent her life struggling and being overlooked, this feels like a dream come true. She finally believes that happiness may be within reach. As the two spend more time together, Daisy falls deeply in love with Alan. She thinks she has found someone who truly cares about her, but that dream soon turns into a nightmare. Rumors begin spreading throughout the city. People whisper behind Daisy's back, calling her a homewrecker and accusing her of being involved with an engaged man. Shocked and heartbroken, Daisy confronts Alan and demands the truth. That's when she discovers that Alan has been hiding a terrible secret all along. He is already engaged to another woman. Feeling betrayed, Daisy decides to end their relationship immediately. However, Alan's gentle mask finally breaks. Instead of apologizing, he becomes cruel and arrogant. He reminds Daisy that he gave her a job and claims she is nothing without him. Realizing the man she loved never truly respected her, Daisy runs away. That night, while planning to leave the city with Jasmine and start a new life, Daisy is suddenly confronted by mysterious figures. A woman accuses her of stealing her fiancé, and before Daisy can react, she is attacked. As her life slips away, Daisy is pushed from a cliff and falls into the dark ocean below. Sinking deeper and deeper into the water, Daisy reflects on her painful life. Abandoned by her family, betrayed by the man she loved, and dying completely alone. With her final thoughts, she makes a vow. If she ever gets another chance at life, she will never believe in love again. Suddenly, Daisy wakes up in bed, gasping for air. Was everything just a nightmare? Daisy suddenly waking up in shock. After everything that happened, being betrayed, attacked, and falling into the ocean, she can't believe she's still alive. Confused, Daisy wonders if someone saved her. She quickly looks around and realizes she's not in a hospital or some unfamiliar place. She's in her old bedroom. Her eyes immediately fall on the calendar hanging on the wall. The date reads, the 855th year of the Empire. Daisy freezes. What happened? She wonders. She checks her stomach where she had been wounded, but there isn't a single scar. Then she looks at her hands. Instead of being rough and damaged from years of hard work, they are soft and smooth. Everything feels real. The pain, the betrayal, even her death. Yet somehow she has returned to the past. As Daisy struggles to understand what happened, a terrifying realization hits her. Today is the day her misfortune begins. The day Marquess Killian de Essel arrives. The day her family loses everything. The day their lives begin to collapse like a row of dominoes. But this time, Daisy refuses to let history repeat itself. She decides that if she wants to survive, she must change. After thinking carefully, Daisy realizes that one of her biggest problems in her previous life was that she always considered herself insignificant. She never believed in herself. She never thought her opinions mattered. Clenching her fists, Daisy makes a promise. I can do it. It's time for a new me. Later, when her younger sister Jasmine sees her dressed up and wearing makeup, she is completely shocked. Daisy, you never wear clothes like that. Feeling a little embarrassed, Daisy asks if she looks strange, but Jasmine immediately shakes her head. No, you look beautiful. Daisy smiles and thanks her. When she asks about the guests arriving today, Jasmine becomes surprised and wonders how Daisy already knows about them. Before Jasmine can ask more questions, Daisy hurries her along. Soon, their older sister Rose appears. Instead of complimenting Daisy, Rose immediately mocks her appearance and insults her as usual. In her previous life, Daisy would have quietly accepted those cruel words. But not this time. This time, Daisy stands up for herself. She tells Rose not to speak to her that way anymore. Daisy explains that she is done living as the insignificant younger sister. She has her own strengths, her own accomplishments, and her own worth. Rose becomes furious. She claims that nobody in high society would even know Daisy's name without her. But Daisy refuses to back down. She boldly points out that the only reason people know her name is because Rose constantly introduces her as the lesser sister. Not anymore. Not now. Not ever. For the first time in her life, Daisy wins the argument. As Rose walks away speechless, Daisy feels a new sense of confidence. She is no longer the old Daisy. Just then, the moment she has been waiting for finally arrives. The Marquess of Essel has arrived. Her father immediately offers his daughters as collateral for his debt, just as he did in Daisy's previous life. Even though she knew it was coming, hearing those words again still hurts. But Daisy forces herself to stay focused. The important part starts now. She remembers a piece of information she learned from the future, something that could catch the Marquess's attention, something impossible for her to know. Gathering her courage, Daisy calls out loudly, Killian, the Duke of Silverstein. The room falls silent. For the first time, the cold and distant Marquess looks directly at her. Daisy sees the surprise in his eyes and smiles to herself. It worked. She has finally changed the course of fate. After Daisy successfully catches Marquess Killian de Essel's attention, although the details of her previous life are becoming hazy, Daisy still remembers several major events that once shocked the entire kingdom. Among them were strange incidents that became the talk of the town, a tiger appearing on Ryun Street, radicals destroying a bridge over the Surin River, and most importantly, a succession crisis within the powerful Silverstein family. Years ago, the Duke of Silverstein left behind a will that would determine which of his heirs would inherit the title. According to the will, the dukedom would pass to the eldest successor who maintained a valid marriage for at least 3 years. The problem was that the most promising heir, Killian, hated the idea of marriage. After becoming entangled in a painful family conflict and a complicated love affair, he publicly declared that he would never marry. Many believed the late Duke included that condition specifically to make Killian suffer. As a result, the Silverstein heirs turned against each other. What began as a dispute soon became a bloody war for succession. In Daisy's previous life, the conflict grew so violent that blood was spilled throughout the capital. Eventually, Killian personally killed his younger half-brother and seized the title of Duke of Silverstein, shocking the entire kingdom. Remembering this future, Daisy realizes she has valuable information, information powerful enough to negotiate with the future Duke himself. Just as Killian begins to leave, Daisy rushes after him and calls out his name. The Marquis stops and turns around. For a brief moment, Daisy is distracted. Seeing him up close, she can't help but notice how incredibly handsome he is. But she quickly reminds herself that this is a dangerous man, a man whose future will be stained with bloodshed. Gathering her courage, she approaches him. To Daisy's surprise, Killian explains that he already rejected her father's offer. Although he was impressed by her willingness to sacrifice herself for her family, he has no intention of buying women. He even promises that he will make sure Daisy and her sisters are taken care of after the debt is settled. At that moment, Daisy remembers that despite taking their house in her previous life, Killian also left them money for their future. Maybe he isn't as heartless as everyone believes. As Killian prepares to leave, Daisy suddenly blurts out something shocking. "I will make you the Duke of Silverstein." Killian immediately stops. The air grows tense. Daisy boldly explains that she can help him obtain what he desires most. In exchange, she wants the chance to negotiate her father's debt. Killian stares at her in disbelief. Does she even understand what she's saying? The Silverstein family stands directly in line for the throne. Discussing succession matters is dangerous and could even be considered treason. Yet Daisy doesn't back down. She confidently claims that she knows exactly what the Duke's secret will says. This catches Killian completely off guard. The will is locked away in a secure location. There should be no possible way for Daisy to know its contents. When Killian demands proof, Daisy reveals something even more unbelievable. She predicts that later that very night, a bridge over the Surin River will collapse. She also predicts that a tiger will appear on Ryun Street. Killian finds the claims absurd. No bridge on that river has collapsed for generations, and a tiger wandering through the capital sounds impossible. But Daisy remains calm. She tells him to simply remember her words. If those events happen exactly as she predicted, then he can decide whether to believe her. After all, he has nothing to lose. For a moment, Killian studies her carefully. Then, surprisingly, he agrees. He decides to indulge this strange and impossible proposal. Relieved, Daisy thanks him and asks for one more thing. If her predictions come true, she wants him to call for her in 2 days. When Killian asks why, Daisy explains that she needs time to prepare. She also requests that he delay repossessing their home for those 2 days. Before leaving, Killian asks for her name. "Daisy Filburn." The Marquis finally departs, leaving Daisy standing alone. Only after he's gone does she release the breath she has been holding. That was terrifying. But she succeeded. Now all she can do is pray that the future unfolds exactly as she remembers. Realizing time is running out, Daisy immediately begins preparing for her next move. She gathers all the gold she possesses and heads to a gold dealer. The merchant examines the coins suspiciously and asks if they might be stolen. Without hesitation, Daisy confirms that every piece belongs to her, because if she wants to change her destiny, she must start making preparations now. Next day, as soon as she wakes up, Daisy grabs a newspaper. She is desperate to confirm whether the events she predicted will appear in today's headlines. But when she scans the front page, her heart sinks. The articles aren't there. For a terrifying moment, Daisy wonders if the future has changed. If the events never happen, then Killian will never believe her. And if he doesn't believe her, her entire plan will fall apart. Nervously, Daisy turns another page. Then she freezes. The articles are there after all. The tiger sighting and the bridge collapse have been reported exactly as she remembered. The only difference is that they have moved from the front page to the second page. This leaves Daisy confused. Why has the future changed slightly? Still, the important thing is that the events happened. Now she is certain that Killian will have no choice but to take her seriously. With renewed confidence, Daisy dresses carefully and waits for the Marquis to contact her. While she waits, her older sister Rose notices her and asks what she is doing. Daisy simply avoids the question. Just then, the doorbell rings. Daisy's heart races. He's here. But when she opens the door, she discovers it isn't Killian himself. Instead, one of his servants stands outside. Rose immediately assumes the visitor has come for her. Smiling proudly, she declares that the Marquis clearly has excellent taste. However, the servant ignores Rose completely. He asks a simple question. "Is Lady Daisy Filburn here?" Daisy steps forward and introduces herself. The servant then delivers a message. "The Marquis wishes to see you." Rose is left stunned while Daisy prepares to leave. As she follows the servant, Daisy remembers something from her previous life. Even after marrying a wealthy nobleman, Rose never forgot Killian. In fact, she remained obsessed with him for years. Thinking about this, Daisy silently apologizes to her sister. Soon, Rose may understand why she made these choices. The carriage ride takes Daisy through the city until she finally arrives at one of Killian's most famous properties, his grand casino. Looking at the magnificent building, Daisy can hardly believe her eyes. People used to joke that if heaven existed on Earth, it would look like Killian de Essel's casino. Inside, wealthy nobles gather around expensive games while fortunes change hands every minute. The sight reminds Daisy of her previous life, when she struggled just to repair old dresses because her family had no money. As she continues deeper into the building, the servant gives her a warning. The Marquess tends to be in a bad mood while working. She should wait until he speaks first. Hearing this, Daisy can't help but compare him to a dangerous lion. After all, serving a man like Killian requires quick thinking and perfect timing. Finally, the doors open. Daisy enters his office. Killian sits calmly behind his desk, watching her closely. The atmosphere is tense. Noticing her unusual silence, Killian remarks that she isn't nearly as talkative as she was before. Daisy politely explains that he seemed busy, so she was waiting for him to speak first. Killian then places several documents on the table. What he says next completely shocks Daisy. The previous day, her father borrowed even more money. Daisy immediately checks the papers in disbelief. She thought she already knew how terrible her father's gambling addiction was. Apparently, she underestimated him. Killian explains that he had been monitoring Lord Filburn's movements. Despite already being buried in debt, Daisy's father believed he could win enough money to repay everything. Instead, he simply dug himself even deeper into trouble. According to Killian, Daisy's father is one of the worst gambling addicts he has ever encountered. The realization leaves Daisy speechless. Not only has her father failed to learn his lesson, but he has actually increased the family's debt. Killian calmly confirms this. And then, with a slight smile, he reveals that this development gives him an advantage. Looking directly at Daisy, he finally says the words she has been waiting to hear. "Shall we begin negotiations?" And that's where episode 5 ends. What deal will Daisy propose to the future Duke of Silverstein? And can she really change her family's fate? We'll find out in the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more manga recaps.